Good morning, Mom. Good morning, everyone. Today, we'll be your reporter. I am Idilisa Tibakalangko. Today, we tackle about changes that materials undergo due oxygen and heat. In your opinion, what is changes that materials undergo due oxygen and heat? It is when a sufficient amount of oxygen is present in the air, where when there is a small amount of oxygen. In this case, no heat is required. Is anything that makes up anything happens is complex and is made of atoms. Today, we performing our experiment the two activities simultaneously or one often after the other. First is what makes the apple turn brown. Materials needed: 1 small size apple, knife or cutter, saucer or plate. Procedure: Step 1. Get a small piece of apple, cut the apple into half and place them in a saucer. Be careful in handling the cutter or knife to avoid accident. Second step, observe closely the color of the cut apple. Then, let it stay for about 5 minutes. Then observe again the color of the apple. Recall its color when you have just cut it. Second step, fill out the table below, then answer the question that following. There are 4 columns in a table: color of freshly cut apple, color of the apple after it was left aside, explained, then kinds of changes. Color of freshly cut apple, brown. Color of the apple after it was left aside, brown. Explanation: in the case of apple, the freshness of the fruit is very critical to maintain because when an apple to cut will be exposed to air, the oxidation of the apple begins and the color of the apple becomes brown. This process requires 3 things: oxygen, a special enzyme called polyphenol oxidase or PPO. Kind of changes: it is a physical change. There are the following questions. What changes did you notice in the color of the apple? Based on my observation, apples turn brown when exposed to air because of the oxidation process that goes on when the inside of the apple get exposed to the ambient air, which contains oxygen and water molecules. Next question. What makes the apple change its color after cutting and setting it aside for a while? When an apple is cut, oxygen is introduced into the injured plant tissue. When oxygen is present in cells, polyphenol oxidase or PPO enzymes in the chloroplast rapidly oxidize phenolic compounds naturally present in the apple tissues to curcumin colorless precursors to brown-colored secondary products. What does this discoloration of apple mean? Secondary browning generally refers to discoloration that occurs when an apple is beginning to decompose due to fungi and bacteria. In other words, when the fruit is rotting, primary browning in apples takes place when the fruit's phonic compounds react with oxygen. What kind of change is this? Explain your answer. It is a physical change. Why? Is a change in the size, shape, or state of matter with no new matter being formed. The following activities. Activity 2. Sugar and heat. What comes next? Materials needed. Handle, box matches, a spoonful of sugar, metal bottle cap. Be sure to remove any plastic or cork lining of the cup before using it. Tang or clothespin, toothpick. Procedure. Step 1. Place the sugar in a metal bottle cap, using tongs or clothespin to hold the bottle cap over the alcohol burner. Observe what happens to the sugar while it is being heated. Be careful reheating the sugar in a bottle cap to avoid being burned. Do not ingest or eat the resulting materials. Stop heating the sugar when you see that a black material has formed. Allow this black material to cool. Step 2. Using toothpick, scrape a little of the black substance, smell and test it. There are 4 columns. Materials. Candle or lamp. Candle or alcohol lamp. Box of matches. A spoonful of sugar. Metal bottle cap. Tang or clothespin. Toothpick. What did you do? Experiment the sugar and heat. Observe the experiment. What are doing this activity? What happened to it? The color changed clear light brown. The sugar will melt too. What was produced? When a simple sugar such as sucrose are heated, they melt and break down into glucose and fructose, 2 other forms of sugar. There are the following questions. What changes did you notice in the sugar after heating? It is simple. Sugars such as sucrose are heated, they melt and break down into the glucose and fructose, 2 other forms of sugar. It is continuing to heat the sugar at high temperature causes this sugar other producing many different types of compounds. What made the sugar change? What was produced? How did it smell and taste? Well, sugar did not change its color, but there are types of sugar color, white and brown. Sugar did not change its taste. Sugar did not change its shape if you did not do anything on it, and sugar does not have a smell. Question number 3. What kind of took place? Explain your answer. Chemical change. Why? When sugar is dissolved in water, we get a sweet water. If we boil the sugar water, then we get the sugar back in form of participate. Changes in matter due to the presence of oxygen and application of heat. Presence of oxygen. Chemical change and oxygen. Chemical change is a change in matter that results in the formation of one or more new substances. Oxygen is a part of the air what surrounds us. It has effects on different materials. The presence of oxygen in the air can cause chemical change on materials. Take the case of activity 1. What makes the apple turn brown? When the apple was cut or damaged, oxygen in the air is introduced in the fruit's damaged tissue material. When oxygen is present in the cells of the fruit, the enzymes polyphenol oxidase or PPO in the chloroplast rapidly the phenolic compounds naturally present in the apple tissue to occasionate a colorless precursors or antecedents to brown colored secondary products. Ocunonists then produce the well-observed brown color by reacting to form compounds with amino acid or proteins in the material, as in this case, apple fruit. The browning of fruit is the start of the food spoilage. At home, enzymatic browning can be prevented by boiling freshly cut apples like bananas, mango, and other fruit into sugar or syrup to reduce oxygen devotion and thus slowing the browning reaction. Rusting of iron is another chemical change brought about by the action of oxygen from the air on the iron metal. Some materials can also change even under the condition of lack of oxygen. Application of heat. In activity 2, sugar and heat, what comes next? Originally, the sugar was crystalline while white. Upon exposed to heat from the burning alcohol lamp, it melted and turned into syrup. The melting caused the breakdown of sugar into the simple sugar such as fructose and glucose. This is manifest by the delectable aroma it created. The continued exposure to heat ultimate changed the color of the melt sugar from white to yellow and then brown, which is totally different from the original material. This color change is caused by the further breakdown of the sugar molecules and formation of caramel like pollutant. The chemical change alters the color of sugar along with the taste and contents of the sugar. Heat as a form of energy plays an important role in the in chemical or reactions. Need heat to start. For example, when cooking food, the firewood requires a match and kindling to get fire to start. Other chemical reactions utilize heat or produce it depending on the materials or chemical involved. There are other proofs that a chemical change has taken place. These include production, heat and light, production of gas, and changes in color. Separating mixtures. It is a separation process is a method that converts a mixture or solution of chemical substances into or more distinct product mixtures. In other words, it's a scientific process of distinguishing two or more moved substance in order to obtain purity. Here is the activity: separating mixture. What we need: mixture from the previous activity. Mixture 1, teaspoon sugar and 1 teaspoon pebbles. Mixture 2, iron fillings and 1 gram white sand. Next, water and 1 teaspoon salt. 4, water and starch. Mixture 5, equal amount of water and cooking oil. The materials: magnet, evaporating dish, alcohol burner, filter paper, tripod or improved tripod can, stirring rod, separating fan, fine mesh screen and small clean glass or breakers. Procedure: give the mixture from the previous activity to lesson 4 or module 1 and the following materials: evaporating dish, alcohol burner, filter paper, fan mesh screen, separating funnel, and small clean glasses. Discuss with your group how to separate the components of the one assigned to you. Use only the materials needed in your plan. Because of this pandemic, we should individual. Kasi hindi tayo makabuo ng grupo dahil sa online class. Next, prepare a schematic diagram of your plan. Report to the class how you separate the components of your mixture and the resulting materials. There are different ways of separating the components of mixture. First is manual separation. Manual separation is done to mixture which components differ in size. Pebbles can be separated manually from sugar with the use of fingers or tweezers, but this is very tiresome and will take a longer time. A fine mesh screen can also be used to separate sugar from pebbles. Magnetic separation is a process that uses magnet to separate the magnetic component from a non-magnetic one. Iron filings are magnetic, thus can be used to separate them from the magnetic sand. Filtration is a process that can separate suspended particles from the liquid. Water can be separated from starch to some extent using filtration. And, and cultivator can totally separate components of colloidal mixture. Descentation is a process of separating a mixture of liquids that differ in density. The less dense liquid usually stays on top. The denser liquid, such as water, settles at the bottom. In this mixture, oil can be gently poured out of the glass and retain water. A steering rod can be used to guide the less dense liquid to the other container. Evaporation. It is the process is used to separate a solute that has been dissolved in water. A small amount of salt and water can be heated. And when water evaporates, salt remains of evaporating dish. Freezing or Cooling is a process of separating mixture used for mixtures composed of two liquid components of different freezing points. In the mixture of oil and water, oil has lower freezing point the solidifies first. It is then separated easily from the water component that is still in liquid state. This is all my topics about mixture and experiment. That's all. Thank you for listening.